Going.
Yep. What's going on, everybody? Steve Raiken here. Welcome to another live show. Today we have an awesome show with Andy Slamans and Liran Hirschkorn, and we're going to be talking to these $2 million Amazon sellers about private label, but more specifically about some product sourcing secrets. So I want to introduce Andy and Liran. What's going on, guys? How is your night going? Liran, what's up, man?
It's going well, thanks. Recovering from fourth quarter sales. How about you?
Hey, man, I'm feeling a little under the weather. My brother came in and his girlfriend's sicker than a dog. And 2 days later, I was feeling fine. And I'm like, I made it out. I'm a warrior. I'm a champion. And then boom, hit me. So I'm recovering, but I'm excited. And yeah, Q4 was fun. How you doing, Andy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good, Steve. You know, I just found out tonight. I think I just shared it a little earlier with you. I was on the Post Malone show, so I never heard of him before, but I guess he's a big singer.
Big. I mean, I think he has a video that has like 500 million views on YouTube. So, I mean, you know, I know you guys are both in somewhat the same category because you went viral before as well with your whole armrest video. So, I mean, I think you deserve it, man.
Yeah.
So we got a bunch of people already watching live, and I hear a little bit of an echo coming in. So if you guys want to mute it when you're not talking. Test, test, test. All right, I think we're good now. So I still hear it. Okay. Hello, hello. Okay, cool. Sorry about that, guys. So anyways, we're going to be talking about some product sourcing secrets. But first and foremost, let's shout some people out in the comments. We got a bunch of people watching live right now. We got Steve Monreal saying, what's up? We got 27 Zach Mackley saying greetings from Pittsburgh. We got Lauren in the house. Red Rocket Resells. We got mainly Myrtle Beach in the house. Hustle on, Mom. Good to see you. Crafty, Jason, Akina, Joy Crane. So hello, everybody. Thank you for coming. And hopefully you guys had a great holiday and a great Christmas and a Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, everything like that. So let's dive into your guys' story really, really quick and kind of hear how'd you guys get started with private label and like what are some of the results that you're having in your business? We'll start with Andy first.
Sure. So I started selling on Amazon. Actually, I started selling on eBay first. I kind of had my big score. I had a full-time job, chosen career of 15 years, was dabbling a little bit in eBay. I went to this auction and I bought these DVR recorders. So I guess they're like the old school ones that they would have the little tape, you know, that you put in a camcorder. Bought like 30 of them for $30 and sold them on eBay for between $250 and $400 a piece, right? And so that definitely kind of got me the bug. And then I had a friend next door who told me about Amazon. And so I started checking into Amazon. And then I realized with Amazon, like I didn't have to ship everything. So, you know, I love eBay. If you're in the right niche, eBay is awesome. But man, it can be a pain sometimes when you got to do all that individual fulfilling. So I started selling on Amazon. I was actually just going thrifting. That's how I started. Then I went to big box stores. And then I heard about this thing called private label. Because what I started to do was, as I was moving, progressing, going to big box stores, like I would only buy products that I could get like 20 or more of. Because I was getting lazy because I didn't want to like have to print out separate labels for each product. So I started just buying products. It had to be like 20 or more. And then I heard about private label where you could send in 1,000, units of the same thing and then just kind of sit back and let them go. And I'm like, that's me. Sign me up for that. I was kind of done, tired of shopping. Although some people, they love the treasure hunt, which is really cool. But I wanted the easy button. And so that's how I got into it and figured it out.
Awesome, man. Super cool. And where are you right now in terms of your business? If you don't mind sharing, how long you've been selling private label, maybe some numbers, some results that you've had, because I know you've got a pretty cool story in terms of like where you've come from and like where you are now.
Sure. So my first year part-time, these are just my numbers. I've been doing it for about 5 years. First year part-time, I did 120,000. Again, just was pretty cool. Amazon sales channel so strong. Second year, I was full-time for 6 months. I did 400,000. Third year, full-time, the entire year, did 900,000. Last year, I did 1.8 million. This year, I'll do over 3 million in sales. So pretty much have almost doubled every single year. Now, I would have never been able to do that if I was still doing, what people call retail arbitrage, although there are some big sellers that do it. But I didn't want to have to build out a team. And so that's kind of the beauty about private labeling. I'm able to scale up and do large numbers like that. And I don't necessarily need a team to shop for me. I can pretty much do it all online and have the supplier ship it to a warehouse and then ship it into Amazon.
So that's primarily private label for you right there. There's no thrifting. There's no retail arbitrage. I mean, maybe something here and there, but is that primarily private labeling on Amazon, which again, we're going to dive more into what that is.
Yeah, I'm 100% now private label on Amazon. So those are my products, my brands that again, I import from overseas and then sell on Amazon.
Wow. That is phenomenal, man. I've been following you for about, it's probably 3 or 4 years now. And last time I heard you had hit 1 million. So you have really been taken off, which is really cool. Liran, how about you, man? What's your story? Where are you today?
Yeah, so I got started on Amazon at the end of 2014. Was also kind of part-time. I had a online life insurance business, which was actually doing very well. But I just kind of enjoyed online marketing. So I saw, a Shopify dropshipping course that I started with, and I found out about Amazon and Chris Green, and kind of started the same, probably like you and Andy and a lot of the people that are watching this, with retail arbitrage, going to stores and even had like a guy that would come with me sometimes to Nike, and we would spend $5,000 in one shot, like buy a bunch of shoes and go and pack and ship it into Amazon. But then a few things happened that really drove me into private label. One, I really wanted to scale. And I knew unless I did have this team of shoppers and things like that, I wouldn't really be able to do that. And two, I started getting some inauthentic claims, especially with like when you're selling Nikes and stuff. And I realized, if I really want to scale, I need to, build my own brand. And at the time I'd, been following Andy, took his course, and really got into private label, and then really started, networking with Andy, met him at a conference, and that's kind of how we, partnered up to do training. I've been building. I've mainly 2 private label brands that I'm building up. Did 1.6 this year, 1.6 million in sales, and I think next year we'll do somewhere between 3 and 5 million. I'm kind of setting myself up also to be able to build a brand and something that I can sell for 7 to 8 figures in the next few years, if that's something I want to do. So it's pretty exciting, and that's why I really love this model, because it is you are building an asset as opposed to retail arbitrage, online arbitrage, even wholesale. There's not a lot that you have that you can like sell, right? Whereas this model, you're building a brand that now I'm in retail with one of my brands too, in a store. I'm looking to do more of that this year. So there's so many options for for a brand. If Amazon shut down tomorrow, I would take my products to trade shows, right, and try to wholesale them and try to just do more. So I'm even though 95% of my sales come from Amazon, it's not. I wouldn't have to ultimately fully rely on Amazon if things change. So I'm really excited about the future, and like with all the marketing channels that are available to us that are like amazing these days. When you think about Amazon and Facebook and messenger bots and all the ways that we're able to get people's attention, there's an unbelievable opportunity to reach people with your own brand of product, especially millennials. Like, they don't care about brands anyway.
Awesome. So this is going to be a really, really cool show, guys. You are all in for a treat. We've got almost $5 million between the two in sales this year. So this is going to be really cool. Now I got a question. I didn't run this by Liran or Andy, but I've made a lot of videos. I feel like I know my audience. What do you guys think? Should I give away at the end of the show maybe 3 $50 Amazon gift cards? What do you think, Liran? Do people like free stuff? I have a hard time understanding that sometimes.
Yeah, free stuff. Yeah, I think people like free stuff. I like free stuff.
So this is what I'm going to do. Since this is such a treat today, I'm going to give away 3 $50 Amazon gift cards. And all you have to do is 3 things, okay? one, like the video. That takes like 2 seconds. Just hit the like button. And number two, share it. Share it in a Facebook group. Share it on your Facebook page. Don't spam, though. Ask for permission first. And number three, what I want you to do, and this is actually, I'm giving you something for free again, is get their free private label training series. They put together this training series. It's 100% free. They talk about product sourcing, choosing a niche, pretty much a lot of the ins and outs of starting a private label brand. So I want to put that out there. If you do those three things, the link to that private label series is free. It's in the first link in the description. Do all three of those things, and I'm going to choose one of you guys at the end of the show. I'm going to pick 3 people, and you got to be listening because I'm going to have Andy, Liran, and myself are each going to ask a question, and you're going to have to be listening, and we're going to pick some winners. So does that sound fair, guys? So be sure to hit the like button, get the free training series, and let's dive in. You guys want to dive into some product sourcing secrets? Because I know people want to learn how to do this themselves. What do you think, guys? You ready to roll?
Yeah, I'm ready to roll. And guys, if you have questions, I don't see anything going on in the chat, but if you have questions, post them in the chat. Andy, Steve, myself, between the 3 of us, we have a wealth of knowledge on Amazon, on private label. So it's a good opportunity to ask any questions that you have. I'd love to be able to answer some questions in the chat along the way.
Cool. So, Liran, I am checking out the chat right now, and if you open up another tab of the YouTube video, there's actually a bunch of people asking questions and
so I
saying different things. there's a lot. So I'll be monitoring that, and probably in about 20 minutes or so, we'll start doing some Q&A and whatnot, and then we'll start probably giving away some gift cards and stuff. So let's get into the product sourcing, because that's really, really big. A lot of people who are watching, they're maybe accustomed to going to like garage sales to source, or maybe retail stores, retail arbitrage, maybe online arbitrage using like tactical arbitrage or OA X-ray, or maybe they're going to, I'd mentioned thrift stores and doing different things like that, pawn shops. But let's kind of talk about sourcing with private label. First, let's define what private label is, and then we'll kind of share how to find products and source them overseas and whatnot. So Andy, do you want to talk about and like define what exactly is private label and maybe give you an example of it?
Sure. So one of the examples I give often is if you look at like Amazon Basics, that's a generic brand that Amazon makes, and they actually sell a number of things. I was just looking at outdoor trash cans the other day, and Amazon has one. It's an Amazon Basics outdoor trash can. I was looking at luggage the other day because my luggage always gets broke. I'm not sure what they do, when you fly on a plane and they put them in the luggage bins. And so I'm looking for like a heavy duty, like army proof luggage, right? That's not going to, get blown up. And what do I see? I see Amazon Basics, heavy duty luggage. And so, basically, it's the same thing that a name brand luggage, like what's the one, Samsonite, right? So they're like the name brand luggage company. Well, Amazon goes to the same factory probably that makes that Samsonite luggage, and they get the exact same build, for their luggage. They just put Amazon Basic on that luggage. But it's pretty much the exact same thing, but Amazon charges, $50 less for theirs than what you're going to pay for a name brand like Samsonite. And so at the foundational level of it, that's really what it is. You're going to the same manufacturers often that make products for Disney or other name brand companies, and you're getting your product manufactured under your brand or under my brand, just call it Andy's brand. So I don't know if you would add to that, Liran.
Yeah, I would say, in its simplest terms, private label is just putting your logo on a product, right? The reason why a company like Disney can have major success with products, right? It's all about the marketing, right? So, the first part is, putting your logo on a product, but the idea is, how to take advantage of a platform like Amazon, where Amazon already brings you all the traffic, right? All the customers. And to identify the right type of products that you want to private label, right? Because there's going to be great opportunities, and there's going to be some opportunities that aren't great, right? Like, I'm not going to go out and create a diaper brand, right? Because the first thing I ask myself when I look at a potential private label product is, can I think of a major brand when I think about this product, right? So if it's diapers, I think of Huggies or Loves or Pampers right away, right? But when I think of a, when I think of a case for my headphones that I'm wearing, I don't know, right? It might not. I don't immediately think of like I need a headphone case. What brand should I go to, right? So those are the type of products that are your first step in identifying. And so, learning how to find those opportunities and how to brand them and how to master the marketing behind it is what we do with private labeling. Because you could take a logo and put it on something and completely fail. You could take a logo and put it on something and have massive success and millions of dollars in sales.
Hey, Andy, I kind of got carried away, and there were some people asking, why even do private label over something like retail arbitrage or thrifting? Before we kind of dive into the nuts and bolts of, sourcing and stuff, what is the opportunity? Why did you decide to go that route versus just selling other people's brands? Because I know a lot of people are probably thinking, wow, building my own brand, that's got to be complicated. That's got to be, I don't think I'm smart enough, or that's going to take too much work. Why did you decide to go that route, Andy?
Yep, sure. That's a great question. So there are a couple of reasons why I did it. One, I didn't really have plans to do private labeling, to be honest. I was actually selling a product of a manufacturer who was in China. And so, this was a brand, they actually sell themselves on Amazon. They were just getting started. I was able to connect with them, and they allowed me to share the buy box basically with their product. Obviously, they marked the product up to me. So I was selling that, and the sales velocity was really good, having a good time doing that for about 4 or 5 months, right? And then they sent me an email and they said, hey, you know what? We're not going to allow other sellers to continue to sell our brand because they wanted the buy box 100% of the time. So that was actually devastating for me. I had just went full time selling on Amazon. I'd quit my job, and this particular product was really was doing really well for me. And so I tried to talk him out of it. I was like, no, let me do it. I can help you. I can like market for you here in America. But they were pretty hardcore. They're like, no, we're not going to allow you to sell our brand. But they said, what we will do is we'll sell you the product, and if you come up with your own brand, we'll put that on the product. And so I'm like, okay, I'm getting an echo here. And so I wasn't like super excited about that. I was actually really nervous because I understood that I had to come up with a brand name. I had to figure out how to create a listing. Up to that point, I'd been selling on Amazon for 14 months, Steve. I had never created a listing before. I had done it on eBay, but I'd never done it on Amazon. I always just listed against, existing products with their UPC. And so I was like, oh man, super nervous. But I said, okay, you know what? As I started to look into private labeling more, it made sense. And this is, these are the reasons why it made sense. Number one, it meant that I would have the buy box 100% of the time. Number two, it meant that I was actually building a brand that hopefully eventually I'll be able to sell someday if I ever want to exit out of that brand. Whereas when I'm just selling against other products or when I'm wholesaling, you really don't have control of your brand like you do with private label. So I saw this kind of as the top of the pyramid. If somebody starts a company, I was watching a video the other day about Dr. Dre when he started Beats, right? Some guy was like, a big mogul was walking along the beach, came to him and said, hey, Dre, we should start a headphone company. And Dre was like, what are you talking about, man? He said, yeah. So he's all right. So he started Beats. And we all know the end of that story. He sold it for, bazillion dollars, right, to Apple. But he was able to do that because he created this brand. And, that's very similar to what Liran and I are doing. We're selling on Amazon. We're making really good margins. We have the buy box 100% of the time. And then we're creating brand that has value that one day we'll be able to sell it. So those are some of the reasons why I got into private label.
And, Steve, one of the things you mentioned, and it's a very valid question, right? When somebody says, well, doesn't it seem like really complicated, right? Building a brand and like, how do you do it? And, my answer to that is that everything before you do it the first time seems really hard. For me, it was when I started with private label, I shipped everything by air, even if it was heavier items that didn't make sense because I was so daunted by shipping by boat. Like, what is that all about? And getting your product to a port and getting it to Amazon. And then I'm like, okay, I'm going to go through the steps one time. I'm going to contact the freight forwarder. I'm going to go through the process. I'm like, man, what was I so afraid of? Right? It's so easy, right? But it's just taking those steps, right? And it's the same thing. Like there are people right now that have never sold a product on Amazon. If you do retail arbitrage and you tell them like, yeah, I sell products on Amazon, like, whoa, how do you do that, right? They have no clue how you sitting there today doing whatever model you're doing are doing that, right? And it would seem very difficult for them to do. So it's all about really taking the first step and taking action and going step by step. And it's an evolution and a journey of what you're going to get to. When I started private label, I didn't know where that would take me. I didn't know it would end up building two brands. It's just an evolution that you go through. And I think it's making, having that resolve to take the steps necessary to get there. And then it's not hard once you do it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people. I get messages all the time, hundreds. And one of the most common things I get from people who are doing, thrifting and retail arbitrage and eBay is the long-term sustainability, right? Not everybody's, do you mind muting it, Liran? I think it echoes when, sorry about that. But there's a lot of people who message me and they're worried about the long-term sustainability. They have a child or children, they have a family, and I've noticed it over the last, especially year or two, it's getting harder and harder to compete with like thrifting and going to Goodwills and eBay. It's just becoming more and more challenging, and people are looking for something that's more sustainable. And, I think private label, it definitely isn't as quick to make money off the bat. You can't just walk into, Alibaba, buy a product and make money within 2 seconds, like maybe go into the thrift store and buying like a Ralph Lauren. But that long-term sustainability is definitely huge with the brand, which I've seen just from having my own brand on YouTube as well, which is absolutely huge.
And what it's like, Steve, just to give a kind of an example here, it's like having a giant wheel, right? And the first time you need to get that like giant wheel going takes a lot of effort, and you need to push really hard, right? And then once it gets rolling, it's so much easier, right? It kind of rolls on its own. And for Andy and I right now, our products go from China direct to Amazon. We keep replenishing them. And it's not, the reason why we don't necessarily have these like huge teams, because we don't need them, right? We have our products go from China to Amazon. We've already created the listing. We've made the images. We're managing the PPC, and it's rolling.
So Andy, let me ask you, thank you, Liran. Andy, so for you guys and the average person who wants to transition from maybe selling on eBay, retail arbitrage, maybe even wholesale and get into private label, what's the process for sourcing your first product, getting started? And even to touch on that, would you advise somebody to just start with a product and maybe they're not even going to brand it or like even think about building a brand around it, but learn the process of sourcing off Alibaba and selling some products? So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a couple different things. Number one, this is what you definitely don't want to do, and this is what we have people that come to us frequently. They have a product idea, right, that's not in existence yet. And so, they come and they say, hey, I was in the kitchen cooking and I came up, I had this thought of this super duper, quadruple bladed blender. And I really think this could do well, and so basically what they're trying to do is they're trying to reinvent the wheel. They're trying to invent a product, which is super hard. That's called prototyping. And that's the last thing that you want to do just getting started. Maybe as you're building a brand and, you've done millions and millions of dollars in sales, then maybe you could step into that. But so it's not prototyping. What we teach is that you want to become good at reading Amazon's data and then interpreting that data to reveal to you good products that are in a niche. And so, our favorite line is the riches are in the niches. Different folks say that. We definitely believe in that 100%. And so, you need to really become good at reading Amazon's data. Again, why we love Amazon is because of the BSR. Now, eBay's getting better at showing like recent sales, but utilizing Amazon's bestseller rank, which is the only marketplace right now that I know of, gives you exactly basically a snapshot in time of what a product is selling in a particular category. And through using different tools, you can get a really good estimate of how many units that seller is selling of that product. And so you rely heavily on that BSR. And so that's where you start first. You start with the BSR and you start with keywords. Here's another thing that another way that a lot of people get wrecked is they say, hey, I got this great product. So I'm going to look at it, but they don't know what keyword they want to rank for on Amazon. Really, the first place you need to start is you need to figure out what keyword you want to try to rank for, and then back trace that to a product that might fit that keyword. Because if you go in thinking that you're going to try to sell this product, but you don't understand how competitive that keyword is, that's where you're going to get wrecked. And that's where we see a lot of sellers get wrecked. Because if you go into a competitive keyword, I'll give you one. I was just talking about blender. So if you go on Amazon, you'll see that there are millions and millions of dollars of sales of blenders on Amazon. There's one brand, Liran and I were looking a couple of weeks ago. It sells close to $1 million a month, right? That's just one listing, one blender listing. But if you were to try to compete for that keyword blender, you're going to get wrecked. There's no way that you can do that because it's too competitive. You're going to end up spending a ton of money on PPC, and because there are some huge name brand companies that really own that word. So that's kind of the first step. You need to understand keywords. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Liran.
Yeah, so it's on Amazon. It's all about the data. So the biggest mistakes I see people making, like Andy said, is one, you have this product idea that you want to bring to Amazon. Like, so I'll give you an example. You're a nutritionist and you say, I know I'm going to do vitamin C, right? That's like one of the most competitive products that takes, just like Andy said, it's going to take thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars to rank for, right? So forget about that. You want to look at the data, and then based on the data on Amazon, decide where's the best niche, where's the opportunity where I can make, improve upon a product, make a better listing, make better images, make better packaging, and come up with that based on the data first. That's one biggest mistake I see. Second biggest mistake I see is, I have my friend's father has a factory and they produce, coffee in Colombia. So I'm going to go import that. And now I'm competing with Starbucks and Nestle and, all those brands, right? Another big mistake. So you want to really, it really starts on Amazon with data. And then once you find that one product, then yeah, you can potentially, it might be a good thing to build a brand off of. But the first thing you want to do, I would say, as far as like where to start from, go into and look at the Amazon catalog, go into the best sellers and go into categories and subcategories and learn what's selling, see what's there, look at the listings, read the reviews on products. How can you improve them? Like, you want to really look at the data and based on that, decide what kind of a niche or what kind of a first product you want to go into. And I would say, don't just go get a product off Alibaba as practice without branding and whatever, because you're not going to be in the right position to be able to have enough units to rank the product to, you'll have other people jump on your listing because it's generic. It's just not the right way. I would say do it the right way from the beginning, but you have to know how to do the research on Amazon properly. That's really what we teach people, how to do that research. And what we're doing in the free training series is we're showing how to do that initial research, what we look at when we find, product opportunities.
And based on my research and interviewing hundreds not hundreds, but I've interviewed like 40 really, really successful private label sellers. They all say like the number one thing, like you get everything right, but if you get the product wrong, it's going to be really hard if you choose a product that maybe doesn't have a market or is too competitive or there's not really any organic search for it. Like you were saying, I think it was Andy, you were saying like a lot of people, they just say, oh, that's a cool idea, the 3-headed blender or whatever it is, right? So the product research and finding that right product, from my understanding, is really the most important thing. In 1 second, I'm going to ask Andy, and I'm going to have you think about this for a second. What in your eyes would be like the perfect product? But before you answer that, I want to remind everybody right now, we have 164 people watching live right now. I want to remind you guys at the end of the show, and we got about 30 more minutes, we're all giving away 3 Amazon gift cards, $50 each. So if you want to enter to win that, all you got to do is like the video, comment below, say hello, Share the video if you can and get their free private label training series. It's the first link in the description. There's some people asking about it. But with that out of the way, Andy, what is kind of like the perfect product? And I'm not asking for like, you know, I don't want you to tell me like a specific item, like a mug or glass straws. But like what, like the perfect product, is it something that's small, lightweight, something that has a certain type of margin, something that has bad reviews, something that only has a certain amount of sellers? What is the perfect product in your eyes?
Yeah, so there's a few things you want to look for. You know, typically what I want to look for is a product is going to have at least $10,000 a month in revenue. So if I'm looking, you know, at Amazon's data and I see that there are, you know, 2 or 3 listings, I want those listings to be doing a combined of at least 10,000. And I prefer that they each listing is doing $10,000 a month. So you want to be able to see again that there's customer demand and that there's sales velocity there for you to enter into that market. The second thing is I want to see a limited amount of reviews. And so, you know, on those 3 listings, you know, in this particular niche, are there less than 100 reviews on each listing? You know, does one of the listings maybe have 400 or more and the other listings, you know, like under 50? That might be a clue that I may not want to enter in. Maybe that one that is at 400 or more is just too dominant. If they're all under 100, then that kind of gives you a clue that they're really not that far ahead in the game. And so that you're able to come in, bring a product in, and you could probably join in on some of those sales that those 3 listings are getting. And so, you know, those to me are the big ones. You want to make sure that the sales velocity is there. You know, the revenue has to be at least 10,000 a month, the limited amount of reviews. And then, of course, you don't want to enter into a niche where there is, you know, 10 pages of very similar products. And so, you know, the classic example a lot of people give is like a garlic press type product. You don't want to source a garlic press when on Amazon, right? There's 10 pages full of garlic presses. And so, you know, those are some of the keys. Another thing is going big isn't necessarily bad. And so a lot of folks actually, they try to go with smaller products that are lighter. And so, you know, Liran and I, we actually teach you want to go with higher price point products. So one of my products I sell, it's a price point $150 and up, right?
What?
And so yeah, and so when I'll sell over $1 million this year of that product, the price point is $150 up. Now, when I tell people that, they're like, "Oh man, I could never afford a product like that." And here's what you got to understand. When you're sourcing from overseas, and this is why Walmart has crushed it, you know, for the last 40 years, as well as other big retailers, you can get things manufactured at a relatively low price. And so this product I sell for $150, I actually land it here in the US in my warehouse for under $30. And so, you know, I pay $30 a unit. I sell it on Amazon for over $150. And my first order on this product, I only ordered 200 units. And so, you know, you can actually, and I could have ordered less. I could have started with 50 units if I wanted to. The manufacturer would have worked with me on that. And this is an oversized product. And here's another thing too. This product, I actually merchant fulfill. And so I share this product with a partner. He actually ships this product out of his house. Now, can you imagine that? That's the power of the Amazon marketplace, right? So he's merchant fulfilling, almost like selling on eBay, shipping it out of his house. And we're going to do over $1 million in sales this year of this product. And we're just getting going. The product's only been in existence for 18 months. But this is how we crushed it with this product. Going back to the reviews, we saw there was really one name brand that was selling a similar product on Amazon. They were crushing it on Amazon. But Steve, their average review rating was less than 3 stars. And so, you know, this product was selling $150,000 a month with an average review rating of 3 stars. So what does that tell you? It tells you there's huge customer demand because customers are buying this and it's a piece of crap, right? It's a piece of junk, but it's such a good product and it's in such high demand that customers were willing to overlook those negative reviews. And so what we did is we went to the manufacturer, we made some modifications to it. We really tried to look at those reviews and try to come up with a better product that's higher quality. Now, it's been a process. Each shipment that we bring over, and we bring over container loads now, each one, the product gets a little bit better, right? Whereas the brand that's been selling on Amazon for 5 years, here's the thing too, a lot of times big brands, they fall asleep at the wheel. They have not changed their product in 5 years. Here's the thing, we work with our manufacturer, we change our product every shipment. We tweak it a little bit, we make it better. So our average reviews are 5 stars now. And so now we've dusted the name brand that we're going up against, whereas they had the lion's share of the market. Now they're at about 30% share and we're at 70% share. But it's because we really went after those reviews, listened to the customer, and made a better product. Now here's the thing, it's just me, right? In my house, my partner who's in his garage, he works out of his garage. We're not like techie type people, right? But we're able to read, we're able to kind of figure out, work with the manufacturer. And so we're kind of making it happen. But that's kind of one example. That's probably a long story.
Yeah,
dude, that's freaking awesome. Liran, what's up, man?
Yeah, I just want to add, I'll tell you what, you asked what the perfect product is. I'll tell you what's not the perfect product. Because that may help people make not make bad decisions. So there's a lot of courses out there, and some maybe have taught this in the past or still are, but they teach people to source a product that's cheap, that costs you less than $5 to source, that's lightweight, that can fit in a shoebox, and that's going to ship by air. And if that's what everybody is sourcing, that's what you don't want to source, right? Unfortunately, some people starting out with a very low budget, have to source, cheaper products, right? Or products that cost you less. But the more you can go sort of against the grain, the less competition that you're going to have, while still looking like the first thing we said is looking for products that have customer demand. But if you look at a category of products that sell on Amazon between $60 and $150, right? That are maybe oversized, that you need to ship by boat, right? Now for a lot of people, they're gonna say, wow, that's complicated, or I can't do that. But again, once you do it once, you can do it, right? So it's the idea of not going where everybody else is going for a product. That's what you don't want to do. So I would say, if you find that type of product, cheap, lightweight, and whatever, it better be something that is not super saturated on Amazon, that has customer demand, or maybe something that you're making some slight changes to that you can improve upon, that you're going to have an edge. Otherwise, you're going to end up sourcing the same thing everybody else is sourcing, and you're going to have tremendous amount of competition.
Wow, those are some really, really good tips right there. We had a question that came in. Thanks, Liran. We had a question that came in before we get into where to source from, and we're going to talk about that and transition over. There were quite a few people asking, how much money do I need to get started with a private label business? And again, I'm sure it's going to differ based upon how much your item is, right? If you go for a $150 item versus a $40 item, maybe I'm wrong. But what's the average investment that someone's going to need to start this business? Andy, let's start with your opinion first.
Sure. So, we've had actually members in our group that have started with $500 or less. So, you can actually source some pretty good products on AliExpress or on Alibaba, and you can get started for $500 or less. Generally, what I say is you want to have $2,000 to $3,000, at your disposal, that you're going to be able to use for the purchase of the product, and you're going to be able to use that for the marketing of the product, which is on Amazon, it's giving it away through the promo codes. So for the best thing, I think is probably $2,000 to $3,000. However, you can bootstrap, and we've had members who have bootstrapped. They started with 500 and then they just kind of rolled it back and have grown from there.
What I would also add is, when you're starting with your first product, and I think it's the right amount. I think I spent $3,000 on my first product, and I shipped it by air. But when you're sourcing your first product, don't look necessarily too much. And we were just having this discussion with one of our students in a private message on Facebook. Don't look too much on profit margin. And the reason is because even if you're looking at your potential profit margin in your first order and it's like 15% or 20%, it seems kind of low. You're going to be able to improve that profit margin over time. You should still go for that product. Why? Because Your first order, you might be placing an order of 300 or 3 to 500 units. Your second, third, fourth orders, you might be ordering 2,000 units, right? You might start shipping that product instead of by air and then by boat. When I switched from shipping this product that I still have for this brand, because of my fear of shipping by boat, I went from spending about $4 to $5 a unit to ship it by air to about 30 cents a unit to ship a container load by boat.
Wow.
And so my profit margins are so much better now, right? So don't necessarily focus too much on your profit margin, especially on your first shipment. Focus more on finding the right product opportunity, the right quality. You want to get inspections and creating good listings on Amazon.
Hey, we have an interesting comment that came in. Andy's going to like this one. Beston J says, Andy is right. I exclusively sell large, relatively expensive items. Average price point, $250 sales price with 38% profit margins after all expenses. Selling 10 to 12 units a day, life has become good. So that's pretty cool right there. Somebody selling those bigger items, because you hear a lot of people saying, look for that $20 to $40 price point. Would you actually advise against that? Like, is it a bad idea for the first product to get away from that 20 to 40? Because you hear everyone say that. Would you want to stay 50 to 100 on that first product? I know it's a tough question.
I would say I don't think you have to shy away from it, but I also don't think you have to shy away from the $150. I think it also depends on your budget, obviously. But I have two brands. One brand, my average price point is about $35, and my other brand, my average price point is close to $100. So you can do well with both models, but as your confidence in what you're doing increases with private label, you're able to say, hey, I know this is a great opportunity here, and I would say go for it. So I would say I would say stay away from products like under $15 that are going to retail for like less than $15. It's hard to make good margin on that. I think, and with PPC costs going up and Amazon fulfillment fees going up every year, I think that's difficult. The $20 to $40 price range, there are plenty of people making a lot of money in that price range. But I think don't just be in that box, right? Look for product opportunities outside of that also. There isn't a one perfect price point, but I think there's going to be less competition on the higher price point. So if you have the budget and you know what you're doing and you have the confidence to pull the trigger, then yeah, I would say go for it. But plenty of products making lots of money in that price range too.
Awesome, man. Great answer. Andy, let's move on to actually sourcing the product and how you do that. And just remember, everybody, 10 minutes, we're giving away the gift cards. So be sure to stay around. And you might win. We have 170 people there. So the odds aren't too bad. It's better than the lottery. So you guys have a good chance of winning some gift cards. But Andy, Ron finds that perfect product, right? And he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go for this. I'm gonna start trying to find this product. How do people find these products to source overseas or in the United States or wherever? Like, how do you find products that you're gonna private label in your business?
Yep. So first, I purchased Rosetta Stone Chinese language, and I learned that for a year. No, I'm kidding.
That's barrier to entry.
That's what I thought. When I started, like when I first heard, man, I gotta like talk to somebody on Skype in China. No way. Like, am I gonna have to, understand Mandarin, and learn Chinese? But actually, I just went right to Alibaba and started hitting the chat on Alibaba, and so that's my preferred way right now. A lot of folks say, the best way is to go to China. Liran and I say, you know what? We don't think that is the best way. We think you're going to spend a lot of money taking a trip to China, probably like $3,000 to $4,000 minimum, to fly there, to stay in a hotel. We think the best way is to get your feet wet by connecting with manufacturers or even trading companies. A lot of people say, man, stay away from trading companies. That's not necessarily the case either. It really comes down to margin and quality. So that's two things, those of you that are watching, just definitely write that down. When you start sourcing your product, the two main things are margin. Are you getting it? Are you going to be able to sell it for a decent margin? And then the absolute most important thing is quality of your product. If you fail to get a quality product, your product will bomb on Amazon. You will rank it. And, you know, we often say it's easy to rank your product on Amazon. It's a lot harder to stick that landing. So you can move it to the first page of search for those keywords relatively easily if you're aggressive enough. However, it will not stay there on that first page. It'll start to fade. And if your quality is bad product, those customers are going to start sending in reviews, and those reviews will tank your product. And so if your first reviews on the product are negative, it makes it really, really challenging to get momentum going with your product. So make sure the margin is there. Again, what I do is just write on Alibaba, connect with them, and there's a few things we go through with that. And then make sure when you get that sample that your product is quality.
Yep. And, you know, for me also, I've been to China, but for me, it was more about meeting my suppliers face to face after I found them on Alibaba. And that was for me the biggest value. I don't really think you'll see a lot of people selling trips to China, $7,000, $8,000. You know, if you want to go your second year, you kind of have some products, you're making money, and you want to go. I think that's cool, and it's a good opportunity to go see where your products are made, the factory, visit while you're there, make a cool video of how your products are made. You could use that on YouTube to market, right? You can kind of get some marketing stuff done too, but you don't need to go to China. Don't spend your first dollars going to China.
Liran, what's your best tip you'd give for somebody in terms of negotiating that first deal?
So my tip would be that you want to negotiate, but you don't want to negotiate too much, because what's going to happen is, you know, the Chinese will tell you yes, 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 but then they're going to cut corners on the quality. So, you know, and I would rather pay, you know, another 30 cents on a product than have a quality issue with my product. So I do negotiate my price. And, you know, one of the things that I do up front, so I'll give you a tip. You could say, you know, what's the price for 5,000 units, right? And they're going to say, oh, price for 5,000 units is $10 a unit. Okay, great. Well, for my first order, I need to see if my customers like the quality. So I'm going to place an order of 500. And then they're probably not going to raise you that much, and they've already given you like a really good price because you asked first for 5,000 units. So start off with asking for a high amount of units instead of saying, hey, how much for 500 units, right? They might quote you $13 a unit, right, or $12 a unit. Whereas if you start with a high number, how much for 5,000 units, they're already going to quote you a better price, and then they might raise you 30, 40 cents, let's say, because they've already given you that better price. So start high on the quantity and say, okay, that's our future orders might look like that, but first I need to see the quality. And you're probably going to get the best, you know, offer from them starting out. And yeah, see what you negotiate, but I don't kill my suppliers on the price because I know they're going to kill me on the quality.
So Andy, let me ask you a question. Liran, I'm going to have you mute that.
Yeah, I'm going to mute my headphones here.
So, Andy, when you finally get that order and you created that deal with your supplier and it's coming to you, what are some things that you want to be aware of? Do you want to get an inspection done? Do you want those first products shipped to your house? Do you want to ship directly to the Amazon fulfillment center? What are some things to kind of be on the lookout for a beginner going through this process the first time?
Yep. So you absolutely want to get an inspection. So you're going to get a sample of the product first. The manufacturer is going to send it to you. You're going to get your measuring tape out. You're going to look at that sample. You're going to fall in love with that sample. You're going to sleep with that sample. You're going to be like, man, this is the best sample ever, right? And so, you know, when you get to that point, then you know you got the right product. And then the manufacturer, you're going to say, okay, let's go ahead and start producing it. So you're going to pay him 30% of the total cost. He's going to then say production is done. You are then going to contact an inspection company. That inspection company is going to send somebody out who will spend 8 hours looking at your product. And the inspector only costs $100. And so you never want to get product shipped from China, and you never want to pay that remaining 70% until you have had an inspection company go to that factory, and they'll write up about a 10-page, very detailed report about your product, and it'll either pass inspection or it'll fail inspection. If it fails, then you negotiate with your manufacturer. If it's a complete failure, then you say, look, you need to reproduce, or, that's when you hit negotiation stage. For me, 99% of the time, maybe there's just a few things that the manufacturer has to correct. So he corrects those, and then everything ships. But I have heard horror stories before. Thankfully, none of the members in our group where, people don't get inspections. So I'll tell you a quick one. I was at a conference. A lady came up to me. She had $100,000 of a product that she did not get inspected. And it was in a container at a shipping port, and they were not clearing it. And this is the reason why. Out of all the things that she could have imported, she imported life jackets, right? And there was something technically wrong with the life jacket. And so, the customs people wouldn't allow her to let it through unless she corrected it. And if she was going to correct it, it was going to cost her like thousands and thousands of dollars. Oh. So she basically, had like $100,000 loss. Now that could have all been prevented had she had an inspection company inspect her product over in China. So that, that's what we always recommend. You want to get that inspection. And then as far as having it sent to you, for me, whenever I work with a new company, what I would do is I would usually have them send it to my house, or I have them send it to a third-party warehouse now that I trust. And so that third-party warehouse is almost like another layer of inspection for me. And so they'll kind of overlook the product, and then they're the ones that send it into Amazon. And then as you grow and as you get bigger and as you get smarter, you can actually work with your manufacturer to label it properly so that when it ships, they can actually ship it right into Amazon for you. So you save a little money, on that shipping process and on the third-party warehouse process.
Awesome answer right there. Thank you for that. We got a question asking, is it better to source AliExpress for good sellers and then find it on Alibaba? When do you guys want to take that?
Yeah, I would say no. I would say Alibaba is better because AliExpress is a consumer site, right? So you're probably going to find probably some of the same suppliers on Alibaba that might be just selling generic versions of their product to consumers, or with their own brand or something to consumers on AliExpress. So Alibaba, you're going to get closer to finding probably the right source for that product. So I would just go straight to Alibaba. I wouldn't really bother with AliExpress.
Right.
Unless you want I don't know, unless you're getting a main product from Alibaba and you might want just like a really cheap something to bundle with or whatever. But otherwise, I wouldn't bother with it.
Here's a great question from Ed Putt asking, what about insurance if someone dies or gets hurt from your product? This is a really serious question right here. Andy has got a little smirk on his face, so I think he's got an answer for us all.
Yeah. So
that's people with this product, so he knows.
That's like $1 million question. A lot of people ask, well, what about product liability? So this product that I was telling you about, I sell over $1 million a year on. It does have an electronic component where you got to plug into the wall. And so I was really nervous, like, man, I'm going to have to pay, like crazy amount of money. But we actually have a policy on that product. It costs us $1,000 a year. And that's a dedicated product liability policy that is just for that product. And so there are insurance agencies out there. We actually we go through Hartford. So when you think about $1 million in revenue, paying $1,000 a year in product liability insurance, that's really pennies, compared to the revenue.
Question: people want to know, are you guys selling fidget spinners? I'm just kidding. Let's see. I'm just looking to see if there's any more questions coming in. Someone mentioned setting up an LLC to protect yourself. Do you guys have LLCs, or do you do your Amazon private label businesses under your own name?
Yeah, no. I would say you want to have an LLC to protect yourself, but you still want to have product liability insurance because they might come after you personally too. Who knows? So you still want to have that. And Andy's product is a little bit more. I would say it has some electrical components, so it's a little bit. So he pays more probably. I pay for all my products like around $1,100 or $1,200 a year, so it's really not expensive to get a to get a policy.
Here's a really good question: how many failed products have you guys had? You went through the process, you researched it, you found that perfect product, or maybe not the perfect product. You went through the process and it just flunked. Has that happened to you guys before?
Yeah. So generally what we say is, out of 5 products that you launch, maybe 2 or 3 of them are going to be ones that you end up keeping long term. And so, that's a pretty good ratio. There's actually a really good store if you want to check them out on Amazon. They're called Willow and Everett. We're actually we're looking at possibly partnering with them for some of their SOPs that they have. They probably sell between 4 and 5 million a year. So if you're online, sometime if you're on Amazon, just type in Willow and Everett, and you'll see they just have an amazing brand, amazing products. And so, and I just totally forgot your question, man. I'm getting old. I'm 47, Steve, and sometimes they just disappear. Liran, you're gonna have to take that one.
2 out of 5.
Yeah, you answered it. How many failed products did you have?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I think they're also in the same boat. 2 out of 5 of their products, don't continue. But the thing is that when you say we continue long term on, let's say 3 products, doesn't mean that 2 are failures. The good thing about Amazon is that you can cut your price, you can run a lightning deal, put some coupons on it, and you can move the inventory, right, and get your money back, or maybe you take a slight loss. But it doesn't mean that if you spent $3,000 on that product that you lost $3,000, right? Because you still have a physical something that you're going to sell. You might not make tremendous profit on it. You might break even, or you might have a small loss. But, product failure doesn't mean I lost all my money.
Yeah, that's why I said Willow and Everett, because that was their quote. Now, they have an amazing story, 2 out of 5. So I'm going to tell you one quick story. I know we're coming toward the end of the story here on the power of Amazon. So I just saw this stat the other day. 290,000 product searches per minute happen on Amazon right now. 290,000 product searches per minute. So when people are looking to buy a product, they don't go to Google anymore. We all know that. They go to Amazon. I fully believe in the next 5 to 10 years that 290,000 is going to be over 1 million. It's just going to be the go-to place to buy a product. But the power of the Amazon marketplace is this. So going back to finding products and vetting and making sure you work with your manufacturer in the right way. I had a product I was selling bamboo nursing pads. And I came up with this unique design. So at the time on Amazon, all the nursing pads were flat. Well, I had this idea, how come we should make a cup out of it just like a bra, right? And so I worked with my manufacturer. They made a cup out of it. And I was already ordering product from this manufacturer. Well, I was sending her measurements through email. Unfortunately, somehow they got confused. She asked me if I wanted a sample, and this is why you always get a sample. I was like, no, Cindy, I don't need a sample. Just send me the large order right now. So they sent me 500 units. Well, Steve, these things showed up on my doorstep. And again, it was totally my fault. I should have got the sample. And they were like the size of a humongous pancake, right? I mean, they were just incredibly large. And so, then I contacted her, and Cindy was, said, oh man, we were all laughing. This is what she said. We were all laughing in the office because we thought all American women must be big breasted, that they're ordering these so large. But so I had these 500 units, right, of these huge bamboo nurse pads. What am I going to do with them? I said, well, you know what? Amazon's powerful, so I'm going to list them anyway. And in the title, I put extra, extra, extra large bamboo nursing pads. And here's the thing, they all sold, Steve. Now, I didn't make a lot of money off of them. I was breaking even or maybe making a couple dollars per unit. But again, it just kind of goes to the power of the Amazon marketplace, the fact that 290,000 product searches are happening on there. And here's the best part about that story. So someone left a review, it was a 5-star review on that product. And they said, man, these things are too big to use as nursing pads, but they were great to use when I'm washing my car.
Oh gosh, that is so freaking funny. That's cool. So thanks for the story. Thanks, Liran, for coming on. We're gonna give away some gift cards right now. Do you guys have a couple more minutes to stay on, and we'll give away some gift cards to people?
Yep.
Cool. Let's do it. So thanks everyone for watching and sticking around. If you want a chance at winning these 3 $50 Amazon gift cards, I'm hooking you guys up right now. You got to do a couple things. 1, like the video right now. Number 2, share the video if you can on your Facebook, a Facebook group. Don't spam it, but get permission. And number 3, be sure to get their free private label training series. It's the first link down below. It's free. They've got 4 videos. It's coming out every couple days. So be sure to get that if you want more information about their free training. But let's give away some things. So I'm going to ask a question. If you guys want to think of some questions, you can. And essentially what I'm going to do is we're going to ask a question, and I'm going to pick somebody randomly because there's going to be too many answers to coming in to pick the first one. So I'm going to pick one of the winners for each question. I'll start it off right now, but the winners, I'm going to shout you out. Be sure to send me an email at raikenprofit@gmail.com. You're going to have to take a screenshot of your YouTube and send me your information. I'm going to hook you up with the gift card. So the first question is, Andy was talking about how he had one product that was going to make about $1 million in sales this year. And he told us that the price of the product was selling for this. How much was the average selling price of this one item? It was a more expensive item. Do you know what I'm talking about, Andy?
Yep.
So let's see if anybody has the answer. And I'm going to pick a winner. I'm sure the comments are going to come flying in. Oh, I see a bunch of them coming in. And you know what? I'm going to choose the first winner on this one. I'm going to choose Lauren Ashlea. So I'm taking a screenshot. Lauren Ashlea, you are the winner. $50 Amazon gift card. Liran, what do you think she should get with that $50? Because it's kind of like just currency. What would you get with $50, Liran?
What would I get with $50? I would
$50 on Amazon, man. Don't buy your own product.
No. I would. Well, you could do two things. I would get a book, okay, so that you could take that $50 and turn it into some knowledge. So, go get a good book. Gary Vee's coming out with the book at the end of this month, the end of January. Go get that.
Cool. Awesome. So congrats, Lauren. Be sure to send me an email, raikenprofit@gmail.com, screenshot of your YouTube, and I'll send you over that $50 gift card. Again, guys, if you want to win, like the video, get the free training series down below, and share this video. Andy, do you have a question that the average person do you think could answer during this?
Yeah, absolutely. So this question just relates to what we've talked about here on this show. And this is going to be for someone who jumped on early. All right. So I shared at the very beginning of the show, I was on somebody, famous musician's YouTube podcast. So, and I shared his name. So if you're watching early, you can type his name there in the chat, and we'll see who the first ones were who jumped on the show.
All right, I'm watching. I'm going to pick someone. It might not be the first one, but it'll be surely be close to the first one because these comments seem to come in waves. Let's see. IR Stevens says, forgot the name. Nope. Oh, come on, Ed. No, not Dr. Dre, Paul. No, it's not Led Zeppelin. Michael Jackson.
I'll give you a hint. The first part of the name starts with a P, and the last name starts with an M.
Oh, come on, guys.
Puff Maddie.
Oh, there's so many people saying Snoop Dogg, Dr. Dre. Come on, guys. Wow, I can't believe people aren't getting this, Andy. Wow. Paul McCartney, Paul Miller.
He's a urban
Give him the first word.
Post is his first name.
Got it. Nicole W. Nicole W. You are the winner. $50 Amazon gift card. I can't believe it took so long. You guys, oh man. So Nicole W, send me an email, raikenprofit@gmail.com. You're going to have to take a screenshot of the inside of your YouTube so I know it's you. But that's number 2 right there. Andy, that was a really, really good question. Liran, do you have the third question? Again,
Dude.
People, they want to win this gift card. They want to get Gary Vee books. They want to buy their own products. You don't know what they want. What's your question for
I'll
him?
give you guys a question. So Andy talked about the one thing that is unique to Amazon's platform versus other platforms. What's the one thing Amazon has that other platforms do not have?
You guys watching the comments by any chance?
Yeah, I'm looking at the comments.
Liran, see if you could see who the winner is. You could just pick somebody who has the right answer.
BSR, let's go.
There's a lot of.
Got it.
Who got it?
One Southpaw.
One Southpaw. You are the winner.
Some people mentioned some things that were true, but not that Andy mentioned. So some people mentioned FBA, which is true, but the data and the BSR is the right answer.
Awesome. So one Southpaw, you are the winner. Again, the 3 winners, send me an email, raikenprofit@gmail.com. You're going to have to send a screenshot of your YouTube with your email for me to send your Amazon gift cards. But congratulations, everybody. Andy, Liran, thank you so much for coming on. Oh, we got Emily over there. Hello. Good to see you. But yeah, appreciate you guys watching. Again, hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Get their free private label training series down below, amazingfreedom.com/Raiken. You can get that and they'll send you the emails, and share this video with anyone out there who you feel could benefit from this. So Andy, Liran, any final words of wisdom for the people who are watching and enjoyed this content?
Yeah, no, I would just say again, a lot of times when I first started, it was like, man, this is going to be way too complicated. But the process is actually a lot easier than what I thought it would be. So, if you have, urge to want a private label import, just understand that it's actually a lot easier than it sounds. So, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, and what I would say is that if you realize that you need another model and you want to make private label part of that, then 2018, where it's a great time right now to write down that goal. For your vision for what you want 2018 looks like, and if private label is a part of it, then take the necessary action steps to make it happen, so that you're not sitting here a year from now wishing that you had a Q4 with private label products.
I love it, guys. Thanks so much. I know there was a lot of unanswered questions, but we're going to be having Liran and Andy back on next week to answer more of your questions. We're going to do a lot of Q&A, and we're going to dive a little deeper into the private label. So again, guys, be sure to get their free training series. First link below. We'll see them next week. Andy, Liran, thank you so much. And we'll see you guys soon. Appreciate it. Bye, everybody.